This is unbelievable, my friend. Just when it seemed the Raiders were finally breathing after their victory over the Titans, 3 pieces of inside news have shaken up the Las Vegas backroom. One involves the future of a fan-favorite player, and a decision that could completely change the team's quarterback rotation. The other brings confusing signals about the return of our star player right at the most delicate moment of the season. And to top it all off, discoveries that no one sees but reveal troubling truths about the offense. I got it all, direct from the sources and with details that haven't yet appeared in the mainstream media. But before you dive into this juicy information, like and subscribe to the channel, because what's happening behind the scenes at the Raiders is much bigger than it seems. The Las Vegas Raiders may have finally seen a win column, but make no mistake, it wasn't because of Geno Smith. Before being considered the answer to the long search for stability at quarterback, Smith became a league-leading turnover machine, the first quarterback since 2020 to throw 10 interceptions in the first 6 games of a season. Even with the victory, his performance sparked more concern than confidence. One truth, the defense carried the victory. Max Crosby was unstoppable on the edge, constantly collapsing the pocket. Devin White roamed from sideline to side like a missile, injecting energy into every snap. And as the crowd at Allegiant Stadium celebrated the 20-10 victory over the Titans, the coaching staff knew something fundamental needed to change, and fast. The second-year quarterback, who showed potential in a few games last season, was poised to take another step forward before a broken wrist or being sent to the injured list. But this week, head coach Pete Carroll gave Raider Nation something they'd been waiting to hear. O'Connell is throwing again. They're both doing really well in rehab, Carroll said, referring to O'Connell and quarterback Lonnie Johnson Jr. Aiden's throwing the ball again. Lonnie's running the field. It's just a matter of timing. Maybe this week, maybe next week. But we're in good shape with those guys. With the bye week approaching, Week 9 looms as the potential stage for O'Connell's return. The question looming over Vegas: when he returns, will he simply resume a backup role behind Smith, or could he become part of a much larger conversation? The Raiders traded a 5th-round pick to the Browns for Kenny Pickett earlier this year, hoping to create stability for Smith. But despite the trade, Pickett hasn't drawn much attention during practice. O'Connell, on the other hand, already knows the system, has chemistry with the offense, and proved he could manage games effectively when called upon last season. If he proves fully healthy, there's a very real chance the locker room will rally around him again. Meanwhile, Smith continues to appear self-aware, but the results haven't come. It wasn't as clean as I wanted, Smith admitted after Sunday's win. I told Coach Pete I might have to jump in the ocean to get rid of all the vibrations. There's a lot more luck around me now, but I'm not in control. Control. That word has a different impact when you're leading an offense that hasn't scored more than 24 points since week 1 and continues to thrive on defensive miracles. Smith's leash is short, and Raider Nation's patience is even shorter. If Aiden O'Connell continues his progress as expected, the conversation around Las Vegas could change significantly. Fans love his toughness, his timing, and his quiet confidence. And if the Raiders stumble again, it may not be long before O'Connell's chants become louder than Smith's excuses. But if there's one name everyone wants to see back on the field, it's the young star who could transform this offense. The question is, will he really be ready to face the Chiefs? As the Raiders prepare for a crucial AFC West showdown against the Kansas City Chiefs, all eyes are on one man, Brock Bowers. The rookie tight end has been sidelined for 2 consecutive games with a persistent knee issue. And while fans hope to see him back in the silver and black uniform this week, the messages from Las Vegas have been less than clear. At first, optimism was in the air. Head coach Pete Carroll sounded optimistic when asked about Bowers' recovery during a Monday press conference. "He's doing great," Carroll said. "We're optimistic about this week, but we'll make the decision that's best for him long term." That last sentence, long term, has Raider Nation reading between the lines. Behind closed doors, the mood is mixed. Sources close to the team suggest that while Bowers has shown progress, the coaching staff may not want to risk him just yet, especially with a bye week looming in week 8. Giving him an extra week to fully recover could be the difference between getting him back healthy or losing him again before the final stretch. Silver and Black Sports Network reporter Jesse Merrick summed it up perfectly. Coach Carroll is optimistic about Bowers' performance this week, but hinted that sitting him out during the bye might be smarter in the long run. Translation: the Raiders are waiting. It's a painful reality for a team that desperately needs its offensive spark back. Without Bowers, the Raiders' passing attack feels lifeless. Geno Smith, who already struggled with accuracy and turnovers, has lost that reliable outlet that can turn short routes into safe actions. Bowers' ability to stand off linebackers and intimidate defenders after the catch has added a dimension this offense simply wouldn't have without him. Worse still, the Raiders' efficiency in the red zone has plummeted. Over the last 2 games, they've scored scored touchdowns on just 33% of their trips inside the 20-yard line, a sharp drop from their numbers from earlier in the season, when Bowers was active. His presence forces defenses to double him, opening up space for wide receivers and breathing room into the running game. Without him, everything feels compressed, predictable, and overwhelmed. Still, there's no denying the stakes. Bringing Bowers back too soon could jeopardize the rest of his rookie season. This isn't just another tight end. He's a franchise cornerstone, the kind of player who could redefine how the Raiders attack defenses for the next decade. The team knows this, and as much as fans are eager to see him line up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, it might be smarter to let the young star wait another week. If Bowers is sidelined, his next likely return target would be Week 9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, a more manageable opponent and a perfect opportunity to reinstate him without unnecessary risk. For now, Raider Nation is holding its breath. Carroll's optimism sounds good, but the reality is bleaker. A source within the organization described the situation as hopeful but cautious, echoing the sentiment that the team won't push Bowers unless he's 100%. And while the roster awaits answers on that, the numbers from the last game revealed something few have seen. 3 statistics that explain exactly where the clock is still ticking and what could change going forward. The Las Vegas Raiders finally did it, snapping a painful 4-game losing streak and getting back on track. A 20-10 victory over the Tennessee Titans doesn't sound exciting, but for Raider Nation, it was like taking a deep breath after weeks of frustration. However, when you analyze the score, the story becomes more complex. Behind that final score lies a set of fantasy football statistics that tell the real story of the current situation and what needs to change before it's too late. Let's start with Ashton Jeanty, the rookie running back who is quickly becoming a fan favorite. Jeanty carried the ball 23 times for 75 yards and a touchdown, giving the Raiders a much-needed sense of balance on offense. His effort and volume were encouraging, but the details paint a mixed picture. Just 3.3 yards per carry, with only one run longer than 10 yards. The Titans' defensive line, anchored by Jeffrey Simmons, didn't give him any simple clues. Still, Jeanty's power and patience showed promise. He's learning to conquer difficult obstacles, the kind of play that doesn't produce highlights but wins football games. Smith's fantasy numbers were once again disappointing and masked a deeper problem. Despite facing only 8 total pressures, he still managed 2 sacks for 16 yards and threw another costly interception. These aren't the statistics of a confident quarterback. They're the statistics of someone who overthinks every pass. The offensive line performed well, but Smith's decision-making, even under light pressure, remains frightening. Watching him play, you can sense hesitation. The pocket holds for 3 seconds, then 4. And instead of advancing or throwing decisively, he dances, double tackles, and frequently forces the ball into traffic. These habits are killing drives and frustrating coaches who know the protection isn't as bad as the results suggest. It's no wonder rumors of Aidan O'Connell's return have grown louder. Finally, we have the most important statistic of the entire game: 2 defensive victories. That's right. While the offense faltered, the defense rose to the occasion once again, forcing turnovers that completely changed the game's momentum. Max Crosby was his usual nightmare, ruining plays before they even started. Devin White was everywhere, from sideline to sideline, stopping runs and covering tight ends. Together, they gave the defense the identity Raiders fans craved: fast, physical, relentless. These defensive victories weren't just numbers, they were lifelines. Without them, the Raiders might still be searching for their second victory. They gave the offense short fields, energy, and confidence. And in a season where consistency has been hard to maintain, this defense is showing it can carry the load when the offense can't. For fantasy football managers, these statistics are frustrating but revealing. Jeanty's volume makes him a starter, but his efficiency still leaves something to be desired. Smith's inconsistency makes him nearly unplayable in most formats. And the Raiders' defense? Quietly one of the best fantasy units in the league in terms of sacks and turnovers. But beyond the numbers, the message is clear. The Raiders are surviving, not thriving. With Aidan O'Connell nearing his return, Brock Bowers possibly expecting a return, and the defense proving it can carry the clock, are the Raiders finally building the perfect balance they've been searching for years? Or are these glimmers of hope just setting us up for another disappointment in the desert? Leave your opinion here, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later to update you with the latest Raiders news.